Hi, my name is Marie Mills, and my business is Clear Solutions, and I help other businesses streamline their processes so they can stop reinventing the wheel. And this is a second in a series of SOP reviews that I'm recording. This one is going to be covering the importance of including a document owner and roles and responsibilities on your SOPs. So having written standard operating procedures or SOPs is really key to running your business smoothly, but only if your team will actually use them. So I'm going to tell you in a minute here how to write your SOPs so that your team will actually use them. All right. To write SOPs that your team will actually read, you want to include these 5 elements. Number 1, a clearly defined scope, which I covered in a previous video. Number 2, a designated document owner. Number 3, roles and responsibilities. And number 4, your process section should have your process outlined at a high level and in detail, and then always start with a template. So in this video, again, I'm only going to cover the designated document owner and roles and responsibilities. Here's an example SOP that I found on the internet. It's from the Tennessee Department of Transportation, and it explains how to process an invoice from a utility. So let's start by talking about the document owner. The number one job of the document owner is to keep the SOP up to date, to keep it current at all times. And they're also the person that if you have comments and feedback about the process, you can tell them, and then they will integrate that into the SOP. They're the person who can answer questions about the process or tell you who can answer that question. And although one person can be the document owner for many SOPs, each SOP should only have one owner. So here's the DOT version, and let's take a look here and see if we can find who the document owner is on their SOP. So you can see that this SOP is owned by the Utilities Division, but it doesn't get any more specific than that. And then down in the scope section, it says if you have questions, let's see if you need to find other procedures that relate to your situation, or you need assistance reading this, then you can contact your regional utilities manager or Department of Finance. But again, it doesn't tell you who exactly owns this SOP. So here's a better version. This is the template I use with my clients, and I put the document owner at the very top of the SOP directly under the title, and then I list the document owner as a role, not as an individual's name. So in this case, it's the utilities manager at headquarters, and I made that up for the sake of example here, but it's going to be the role, never just the specific name of an individual. And then you can include down below who else to go to if you have questions. Often there aren't other people you go to if you have questions, in which case you would always just go to the document owner. So that's the document owner. Now let's talk about roles and responsibilities. Not every SOP is going to have this section included because some SOPs are so simple that you have one person doing all the work, and then you don't need a roles and responsibilities section. This is when you have multiple people involved in the work. You're going to list every major role, and the responsibilities for every role you're going to list at a very high level. Here's the DOT version, and I took a couple of screenshots. This was actually very long, so I didn't screenshot the entire section. But if we look closely, we can see there's 2 roles involved here. The utilities invoice processing personnel and the regional utilities manager team lead. I mean, they do have bolds and kind of this indenting and underline, but it's not exactly easy to see what the roles are at a glance. And then below, they have these bullet points of a lot of detail for what each role is responsible for. Way too much detail for this section. And then it gets into details about the actual process steps themselves. So way too much detail, and the type of detail here doesn't belong in the responsibility section. It belongs in the process section. So how can we make this better? Here's a better version using my template. I use a simple table, roles on the left, very easy to see who's involved at a glance, and their responsibilities on the right. Again, very succinct sentences, very easy to see what they're responsible for. I've also included a utility division director that wasn't listed in the other responsibilities section, but it did appear on a flow map that was attached to the SOP. So the utility division director plays a key role here. So let's make sure they're listed in the responsibilities section. And then also there's the contracted utility. Now, even though it's a third party and they're not within the DOT, they play a major role here. So you're going to list them on the table in the responsibility section, even if they're never going to see this SOP. It's all the major roles are going to be listed here. So in summary, your SOPs only have value to the extent your team actually uses them. So you want to write them so that they're very clear and easy to read and easy to use. And that means you want to include a document owner on every SOP. And the document owner is going to keep that SOP current. And then if there's more than one person involved in doing the work on the SOP, you are going to have a roles and responsibilities section where all the roles and responsibilities are clear. I hope you found this information helpful. If you would like help writing your SOPs and making sure they're clear and easy to read, then you can schedule a free consultation with me. I would love to talk with you. You can schedule that from a button on my LinkedIn site or another button on my website. And I look forward to talking with you. Thanks for watching.